Ready to build resiliency, create a healthy lifestyle, and overcome adversity with a warrior mindset. This is Define the Fight with Mariah Prussia.
Hey, welcome everybody to Define the Fight. It is Monday, which means we are coming in hot and we're coming in with health. And I'm really excited to talk about health because I think we can all agree that we are in a health crisis in the United States where individuals are being pushed so much to Western medicine and pharmaceuticals instead of getting to the root of the problem. And I'm grateful today because I am joined by an individual who has experienced and was brought up in that Eastern medicine so that people can see a different look and a different viewpoint of Eastern versus Western medicine. So joining me today is Dr. Laura Capina, and she is a doctor of Oriental medicine, a clinical nutrition expert, and founder of Synergy, a breakthrough cellular health supplement brand. She serves on the scientific advisory board for Genetic Lifespan and has spent nearly 20 years helping people reverse chronic illness through detoxification, epigenetics, and nutritional medicine. She is also the author of the upcoming book, The Modern Viking Diet, a practical guide to reclaim your health in a toxic world. And man, I tell you what, it is extremely toxic. So I'm so excited, Dr. Laura, that you are bringing solutions to the table. So welcome to the show.
Hi, Mariah. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Now, you have clearly a very in-depth background, but you were also were you born and raised then in Latvia?
Yes, I was born and raised in Latvia. I came to United States when I was 20 years old. I grew up, Latvia was part of Soviet Union. It was communism. It wasn't so good there, but one good thing was we didn't have any processed foods. So we were basically, I grew up on superfoods, eating mushrooms and berries and everything was natural. So I never saw obese people, allergies, all the chronic diseases that are here in especially United States, but in the Western world in general. And when I came to United States in 1995, I could not believe what I saw. So much autism, allergies, asthma, obesity, and that's what put me on this journey to find out why.
Oh, 100%. So I can imagine the shell shock that you had coming from Whole Foods and then shifting into a new area of like, wow, you're probably walking around the first time that you're checking out and, seeing the direction that you want to go clearly with your life, but seeing the disease literally within our country. How was that for your first experience or the first, month of being in the United States?
You know, I think that was one of the biggest shocks of my life. I couldn't understand, when somebody told me, yeah, I'm allergic to walnuts. I can, if even if I have a little one drop of walnut oil, I can die. And I almost felt like people were kind of over exaggerating a little bit, like, oh, it can't be true. And, but seeing how ill people are, everybody have some kind of issue. Oh, I'm lactose intolerant and I have an allergy to this and I have gut issues and I get migraines and everybody had some kind of issue. So that really, I was like, okay, I need to really find out what's going on here.
I love that. So for your journey, like I said, you have a very in-depth and diverse background. Let's talk about your journey. And, you said you moved to the United States when you were 20. What does your educational background look like?
So, growing up in Latvia was part of Soviet Union. Education was free. So, you couldn't achieve anything. You couldn't, in communism, nobody can be higher than other. You can't. It's not like capitalism where you can, build companies and do all these things. But everybody went to school. So, when after high school, I went to banking college. I was good at math and I was like, okay, finances and banks, I'm probably going to work at the bank. So when I came to United States, seeing this chronic disease epidemic, I knew that I wanted to study health, natural health, and really find out why people are sick and how to help them heal. uh, then in my early 20s I went to India, and that trip really changed my life, because in India I it was another shock, where people are so poor, they have absolutely nothing, they're laying on the street, they don't even have a toothbrush, but they're happy, they're smiling, they're looking at me, they're smiling, and I thought, how can they smile, how can they be so happy, they have nothing. In the United States, everybody's on Prozac, everybody's on antidepressants, and everybody has so much more than people in most countries in the world. And that was my other. So when I came back to United States after my trip to India, I wanted to study Asian philosophy, Buddhism, Hinduism, and that's what brought me to Chinese medicine, where I found out, okay, I can study Asian philosophy, which is completely different way of thinking, but also I can heal people. There is actually techniques how to heal with acupuncture, with herbs, basically, you know, strengthening the body on at the foundational level.
Absolutely. And I love the fact that you had mentioned that in India they had absolutely nothing. But the reality is they have more than what we have, is they have their health. And you can't put a dollar value on health, because when you are in, optimal, when you're looking like you're in homeostasis, you are going to find joy. You are going to be happy. And at the end of the day, that's what everybody wants, is they want to feel love. They want to be loved. They want to make sure that they're providing to other individuals. And when you are sick, it's really hard to have an impact on others, because you can't even serve yourself at that point.
Yeah, exactly. Health is everything. And, health truly is your wealth. No matter how much money do you have, how many houses or boats or cars you have, if you don't have your health, you can't enjoy them, you know? And, to achieve this vibrant, radiant state is just, it's amazing, and it feels so good. And it's not about material things. Of course it's nice, it's nice that you have them and you can travel and but that, the true happiness is, first of all, really is passion and purpose. When you study the longest living people in the world, like the blue zones, what do they have mostly in common? Number one, number two, food, nutrition, that's important, but that's like number four on the list. Number one, number two, one is community and your tribe, and two is your purpose. They have a term in Japanese, it's called ikigai, the reason to get up in the morning. And now, by statistics, they actually have shown and proven that these professions who are kind of like teachers and firefighters, who feel like they are needed by society, and once they retire, their health declines the fastest. They get sick, they die actually pretty quick after their retirement, because they don't have that purpose anymore. And that's why I tell people, when people say like, oh, I have a midlife crisis and I'm all depressed, is you just lost your purpose. That's what it is. Like in our 20s, we feel like, yeah, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna achieve that. But and then people, go to school and achieve that, and they have a job and profession, and they have family, and they achieve all those things, and then they are like, okay, what's now? And the most important thing is like, find your passion again.
Yes. And it's very easy to lose it when you're looking at what is put in front of you, what's going on in our nation, in our country, in the world right now. It's very easy to get lost in the shuffle of the noise. So it's important for individuals to understand that their temple, they need to make sure that they're taking care of their internal health, which then also will factor into their external. When we come back, I really want to dive into Eastern versus Western medicine, because a lot of people haven't quite defined what that is. So when we come back, Dr. Loader, we're going to hit that topic here hard. So we'll be back here shortly on Define the Fight. Looking at defining the fight, it comes down to, is it professional, is it personal, or is it health? And right now we are knocking out what is health and defining what that looks like from an East versus West. We're talking about Eastern versus Western medicine with Dr. Laura Capina. And I want you to really dive in and define what that looks like, because we hear the terms, they're buzzwords. But until you actually decipher what that means, now you're opening up new doors for people to do research and learn more on their own. So let's dive into what that looks like for you.
Yeah, I think to simplify this, it's obviously a very big subject, but to simplify, I'll tell you how it started in a history. Basically, the Eastern world, in China, for example, they had the emperors, and or in India and that part of the world, and these emperors said, how can I have the longest, healthiest, most vibrant health? In the Western world, it was opposite. It was I got sick, and we had doctors who, hey, come and heal me. So it's kind of like it's like a kind of like a healthcare and sick care. That's in a simple terms how we can say it. And the Western world is a sick care. You get sick, you go to the doctor. You don't think like, okay, how can I have the strongest health possible so I don't get sick? In the Eastern is they were like, okay, I want longevity. I want, sexual health where I can, be active and vibrant like that in for my whole life. And how can I have many children, and how can I never get sick? So that would be kind of the two big things. And what happened was, in the Western world, that Rockefeller family, they owned all the oil, in United States, and they figured out a way how to make pharmaceutical drugs from petroleum. And they started changing the whole system, and they closed a lot of these schools, and they came up with a term quackery, that all the natural practitioners are like witches and bunch of quackery, and the only true medicine is just like pharmaceuticals and going to the doctors. But the Eastern medicine, and it's interesting that people always say Eastern and Western, and of course me as a Chinese medicine doctor, that is Eastern medicine, but I would not even term that so much just Eastern, because in every part of the world, it's there's a herbal system that's just kind of like the ancient herbal system is the way people were healing each other. And that's there is Amazonian, there is South American, there is even European, so in different parts of the world there is this healing system. But for some reason, just the Eastern is more like known or famous,
Notified. Yeah.
because it is the largest. In China there is thousands and thousands of herbs, and that's why it's the largest herbal system in the world.
When you look at, Eastern or Chinese medicine, you're looking at getting to the root, but then also recognizing the importance of bringing your body and your mind and your soul all into balance and in harmony. And speaking of Western medicine, you did a great way of breaking that down. It's Western medicine puts an expiration date on our life, is what I feel, compared to Eastern is more looking at the longevity. And I just want to read something to you, too, when it comes to Western medicine, where the use of war metaphors, fight disease, kill germs, battle cancer, and then the authority or the ritual of white coats, sterile temples, doctors are viewed as the high priests, and then, the toxic treatments framed as necessary suffering, to then also it's glorified when it really shouldn't be. And it's hard. And I actually received some of those points from a lady who reached out to me on Facebook, who is a Holocaust survivor. And she's in her 80s. And she goes, Mariah, I just really want to share this information with you. And it was absolutely beautiful for her to share those different things. But it is very important when you're talking about herbal and looking at what nature provides. So I want to shift a little bit into Eastern medicine. Now, you serve clearly a lot of different clients with different health concerns that come in. First, I want to ask is what are the demographics or the commonly seen ailment that people, the complaints that they come in with? Well, I'm facing this. I'm facing this. What are you seeing on average from a client perspective?
Yeah, in my practice, mostly people come for pain. I think that's what people when people think about acupuncture and herbology and nutrition, they like first they seek help when they are in a lot of pain. So that's how they come through the doors into my office. And I have pain, I have headaches, migraines, neck pain, back pain, low back pain, sciatica pain, nervous issues. Maybe there can be some Bell's palsy and things like that. This is what I think. And once they come through the door, now I have the opportunity to dig deeper and see what else is going on, because they don't, we have become so comfortable feeling uncomfortable that this is not normal. It's not normal to have all these symptoms. We need to feel amazing. We need to have so much energy. Our brain need to function. And people just like, they don't even like, when I ask them questions, they don't understand that the brain fog is not normal. That the memory, they like the fact that they get so tired in afternoon, and all those things are not normal. And so we dig deeper, and we really really go to the root cause. So as I mentioned, I do a lot of acupuncture, I do herbs, I do also in my practice, I do something called quantum reflex analysis. It's applied kinesiology. It's type of a muscle testing, and basically it's getting to the root of the root of the problem. And I tell people, there is these ICD codes in basically in insurance. They use these codes for diagnosis. Like they say, oh, I have this problem, and this is the diagnosis. Said they have these codes for, so they can record or prescribe medications. And what's so crazy is that they had 14,000 these diagnosed codes, and they just revised it in like the last 5 years, and now it's 70,000.
Wow.
They went from 14,000 to 70,000 disease codes. And that's all just, I call them labels. They just put these labels on us. You have this label and that label, and so we can charge insurance company, or we can prescribe drugs. But in reality, we need to always come back. We need to understand the way God created us. God created us. We have one foundation, one basic foundation. It's we are kind of like this, almost like the salt water solution. This is why we need a lot of water and a lot of minerals with these fatty parts. And this is why we need omega-3 DHA. We need these basic nutrients. We are very very toxic. Take out the trash and provide the basic nutrients, and things start working better in the body. We have one foundation. The brain is made of fat. What does the brain need? It needs healthy fats. Our eyes made of fats, our heart, our liver, our kidneys, it's all made of fats. We need a lot of DHA, omega-3s, and we need magnesium, iodine, and these minerals, and a lot of water. We need to exercise. We need to move our body so we can sweat. It's everybody always tries to find this magic pill, the latest and the greatest. But we cannot be healthy without the things that we've been talking about it for hundreds of years. The water, sleep, reducing stress, good diet, and exercise.
And I think our culture has really gotten wrapped up in the fact of how do you define health? Well, it's how I look, right? It's how I look when in the mirror, the superficial appearance to stepping on top of the scale, instead of going into a cellular level on what is my health? What is my organ function? What does that look like? And then when we start finding that, it's like that natural love for yourself starts coming with it because you start feeling better. Otherwise, it's like we're grabbing, like you had mentioned, the next quick thing or watching QVC. This is the cure for everything. And the reality is, anything in life that is worth having does require some work. It sweat equity, putting time into it, but then also it requires taking a step back and breathing and embracing what is in front of us. And nature is the most healing source, but the most underrated. And the reality is, it's free. Imagine,
Exactly.
right?
And most of these like powerful healing things are free, you know. You like, people don't even realize, like the sun, sun, it provides us vitamin D, yes, but so many other things, vitamin D is top most epigenetic substance in the world. So there is a science of epigenetics, right? So we have our genes, what the genes that we inherit, that the genes we can't really change. They are the way they are, and unfortunately a lot of us have a lot of these bad gene mutations, like I found out I have the MTHFR gene mutation where my whole methylation cycle is off. So for me, very important to take methylated B vitamins, especially methylated folate and B12. And actually more people have this gene mutation than don't. So they need to pay attention. And other, but even though you have these genes, as how your body expresses, that's called epigenetics. And epigenetics, you know your lifestyle, your how you live, your environment, whether these genes are going to express in a bad way or not. And nature is definitely, when you walk in the nature, people don't understand. When people say like, oh, the pollen's like, it's affecting me. But there is also a lot of compounds that we breathe in that actually strengthen our immune system. That's the opposite, actually does the body good. It's almost like a natural vaccine, that we breathe in from these compounds that these plants emit.
100%.
And just walking and moving your body, and exercise is probably like one number one um longevity factor. I saw a study that there was two groups of people where this group was smokers, but they exercised, and another group, non-smokers, didn't exercise. The smokers who exercised had better readings, actually, which is crazy, when you think about it, because you can eat the healthiest diet and even have a good mindset, but if you don't move your body, you don't move your lymph, things start getting stagnate, because we get toxins in every day, even if we try to do all these good things, but we get toxins in from everywhere, from the water, from the
Oh,
air.
100%. I mean, you look at our environment, it's definitely in the atmosphere has changed, the pollutants, so on and so forth. We're going to go into a quick break here, though, Dr. Laura. And when we come back, I want to talk about some of the herbs that you use, but then also, too, I want to talk about your book and nutrition, because I know a lot of people will be excited about that. So we're going to go into a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to hit it hard again here with Dr. Laura. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Define the Fight. We are talking about a variety of different healing properties, modalities. And, the great thing is understanding that when you look at herbs, when you look at different things that are clearly grown on this amazing earth, that there's a lot of different properties and healing that can come from those. And I want to dive into that because we live on about an 11-acre farm. We've planted a lot of natural grasses, wildflowers, but then also too, when you start researching what they all have and the properties that come with those plants, it's amazing. And I want to put together some tinctures. And one of my questions prior to is, if you want to create tinctures without alcohol, you have the food grade glycerin as an option. Then also I've seen apple cider vinegar. So with you knowing this kind of background, what are the pros and cons, or what should individuals look for when they're looking at tinctures?
Yeah, so and also maybe not only tinctures. Well,
Right.
tinctures. So talking about tinctures, for example, there is like when you look at when you buy supplements in general, okay. This is a very very important actually subject. So people need to understand that not all tinctures and supplements and vitamins are made equal, right?
Yep.
So there is a lot of synthetic stuff, and it's much more serious than you think. Like they are so dangerous. Actually, it's not just, a lot of people think that, oh, it's a vitamin, I just bought these vitamins and it's vitamins, it's not going to hurt me, it's not like a drug. But actually it can actually hurt you. And I'll give you some examples. So like we absolutely need to avoid all synthetic vitamins, like vitamin C, for example. Vitamin C needs to be in its natural form, and it has to come from food. Usually it comes from berries like acerola berry, camu berry. If you see on a label it just says ascorbic acid, it's usually just like from genetically modified corn. And a lot of B vitamins, that's another one. Like as I mentioned before, the MTHFR gene variant, which most people have, actually. That's why you need to have your genes tested. And I know you're having that conversation next week, right? Which is
Yeah.
great. But when you have this variant, your body has a very difficult time converting folate, which you get from food, into its active form that the body can use. It's called methylfolate. It's almost impossible, the conversion rate. But it's only one step conversion. It's from folate that you get from whatever you eat into methylfolate. But if you take folic acid, which is a synthetic folate, which a lot of doctors will say, you're taking your folic acid, especially, women who are, about to have a baby or pregnant. They say you need to take your folic acid, which is true. We do need folate because it protects the nervous system. And but folic acid is synthetic folate, and instead of one step conversion, now there is four steps conversion, and it doesn't happen, and it accumulates in our cells. And the same thing with vitamin B12. When you buy B12, it has to be methylcobalamin, not cyanocobalamin. Cyanocobalamin is like, it's this cobalamin is connected with cyanide, which is a completely toxic. And the same thing with iron. Like so many people, so many of my patients take iron supplements because they have low iron, or they
Anemia.
are
Hmm.
anemic. And iron supplements are made of rock form. It's the form that it's made. It's almost like a rock. When it comes in the body, it sits in your liver, causes liver problems, liver toxicity, constipation, and all these side effects. And we cannot take these kind of forms. So another big one is vitamin E. Vitamin E, if that's why, like, please, all the listeners, go in your supplement cabinet and see what you're taking. And what, I'm not big fan of multivitamins in general, because first of all, most of them are synthetic vitamins, but also there's no way you can get all your things and superfoods and all the high doses or whatever you need in this kind of like one
One stop
tablet. Or
shop. Yep. Yep.
yeah, it's impossible. You really need to know what you need. And really, so the vitamin E, make sure if you see DL in front, DL alpha tocopherol, that's a synthetic vitamin E, and that's very dangerous. It's actually can cause cancer when it accumulates in the body. It's a fat soluble, so it sits in our fatty parts, and but it just accumulates, and body doesn't know what to do with it. So all these synthetic vitamins do more harm than good. They all have to be in natural forms. And like for example, mushrooms, like mushroom supplements are very, very popular right now. All these medicinal mushrooms, and mushrooms are amazing, like reishi and chaga and cordyceps and turkey tail and agaricus blazei and all these incredible. And talking about tinctures, for example, if you do alcohol tincture, it actually brings out some other compounds. And if you do hot water extraction, where you boil the mushroom in hot water, it brings different compounds. So in the case of mushrooms, it's actually good to do both. It's actually good to do hot water extraction and alcohol extraction. And when you buy mushroom supplements, a lot of times it will say on the label, it will say dual extraction.
Nice. Such a lot of information there, which is great. So you also see herbs too from the tea perspective. So what are your thoughts on the teas when individuals are consuming it from that realm?
Yeah, so teas are great. Obviously, like in Chinese medicine, that's a big thing. There is some, tonic herbs that we can use and we should use. There's a saying, let thy food be thy medicine, let thy medicine be thy food. Like food really is medicine. And it's a different levels of that. And actually, I do talk about this in my book, The Modern Viking Diet. I actually talk about all these things in here. So
Beautiful.
if people really want to learn all the basics about health, please, you can get this book called The Modern Viking Diet. And I talk about all these things that patients ask me these questions, what to eat, how to detox, how to fast, how to control your blood sugar, how do I cleanse my liver, how do I cleanse my gallbladder, my colon, heavy metals, parasites, mold, glyphosate. There is over 60 recipes in here, and there's all the questions about about the superfoods, the colors, eat the rainbow, like the nature gives us clues, like the red foods, red, it's good for the blood, so if you want things high in iron, eat a lot of beets. Green on the inside, clean on the inside. You want to cleanse and detox, eat a lot of greens. It keeps your pH in alkaline state, so the body can actually start healing and focus on healing and detoxing. And I talk about all the basic nutrients in there, what we need at the different stages of our life. We need different things, and also depending, like if we have more mental job, we maybe need more fats. If we have more physical job, we build homes, we need more building things, a lot of more protein and maybe collagen and things like that. So I talk about all that, about like children need different nutrients as we get older. But overall, in general, we need basic things. What we need is minerals. Number one is magnesium, that we are all missing in Western culture. First of all, because soils are depleted, we're not getting it in our food anymore. But also, our demands are higher. When we have higher demands in our body for different reasons, whether it's a lot of stress or physical job or emotional stress, our body uses more. Or people who drink a lot of alcohol, body uses more B vitamins, or hormone therapies actually deplete a lot of our nutrients. And also peptides are very big right now. Everybody is injecting peptides, but actually I've seen a lot of test results for people who inject peptides. All the test results are very, very bad, because if you don't fix these nutrient deficiencies foundationally, that you can inject these peptides, and maybe from outside you look fit and you lose weight. But if you don't have these nutrients to buffer, you putting your body in extreme metabolic and oxidative stress, and the body starts breaking down from inside out.
Wow. I'm looking forward to, everything that you're breaking down that is incorporated into your book. Your book is clearly the next one on my purchase list today. I want to dive in a little bit more after we come back from the break on what the modern Viking diet actually looks like. So we're going to go into a quick break, and when we come back, let's all become Vikings on Define the Fight. We talk about Vikings, and usually it's because it's the Minnesota Vikings, who I'm a fan of. I've always have been a fan. And I have yet to be extremely excited because I want to see that Super Bowl win some year, maybe in this lifetime, maybe not. But when we're talking about health and what that looks like, I'm excited because Dr. Laura Capina has written a book. It's called The Modern Viking Diet, a practical guide to reclaim your health in a toxic world. So let's briefly break down what the Viking diet looks like, because there's so many diets are out there, and I always use the line, the word diets wouldn't be plural if the first one worked. So how is the Viking diet different?
Yeah, exactly. So the Viking diet that I wrote is basically, first of all, it is a lot about Vikings and how why they were so strong and the superfoods they ate, and they ate a lot of mushrooms and berries, and I talk about all these superfoods and nettles, and but we live in extremely toxic world, so in today's world, everything is toxic, so we need to detoxify. And what I did is I also studied every diet in a history, anywhere from Mediterranean to carnivore to vegan to zone diet to South Beach diet. I studied all these diets, and I looked at what are the most important principles from each diet, because most of these diets are actually kind of limited or too extreme, but each diet has some good principles about it. So I put all these basic principles that really make us strong as a Vikings into this book. And so I have 9 core principles of how to be strong as a Viking, anywhere from eat real food, nothing processed, how to fast. Fasting is important, and women should fast differently than men depending of their cycle. So I break that down, how women should fast differently than men, how to include different kind of tastes in our, like Western world, especially United States, is very very much high on two tastes, is sweet and salty. But we need to include more sour, more bitter, and these herbs, and why, and you know how to make fermented foods at home so easily. You can make your own fermented vegetables so easily. I have all the recipes in there. And I talk a lot about the importance of omega-3 fatty acids. The omega-3 fatty acids are so important, more important than ever. The way modern humans developed was when the cavemen started moving to coastal regions and started consuming seafood and seaweeds, is when the frontal lobe developed. Literally, it's raises our IQ by how many points. And the reasoning, the tool making happened when they started getting these omega-3 EPA and DHA fats into their bodies. This is how we became a modern human. And now we are deficient, we are deficient in these so much. And that's why I developed my own supplement, because I couldn't find, because I know how much we need and how important it is. And everybody just swallowing these soft gels, these fish oil soft gels, which, first of all, fish oil is contaminated. It's soft gels are toxic on its own because they are all made of gum and all these additives, carrageenan and guar gum. And then it's also not absorbable. If we swallow these soft gels, the oil doesn't go inside our cells, because then water and oil doesn't mix. So I couldn't find anything on the market, so I designed my own supplement. It's called Synergy, and it's basically liposomal, which means liposomal is 95% absorption rate versus 5% if it's not liposomal. It's also liquid, super delicious. It's sprouted almond butter with all these spices, and it has omega-3 DHA from algae, because the algae is the most purest, more sustainable source. It has EPA from ahi flower. It's the only plant source of EPA. And then we also have MCT oil, medium chain triglycerides. A lot of people add it to the coffee. And also there is delta tocotrienols, the most powerful form of vitamin E. And as I mentioned before, vitamin E is actually incredibly important nutrient, but a lot of people are taking synthetic vitamin E, DL alpha tocopherol, and it's dangerous. And delta tocotrienols is only found in one plant in the world called annatto, and it's vitamin. You know how vitamin E you put on your skin, on the scars, because it repairs your skin. So when you take it internally, it literally regenerates all your skin, all your blood vessels from inside out, lowers cholesterol, that repairs all the capillaries. So people who have strokes and heart attacks, it's repairs. I had the patient with 3 strokes and repaired all her capillaries. So very easy to take, super
That's
super delicious.
that's
That's why
that's
I came
powerful.
up with it.
That's powerful, and I know that we have to close out here shortly, but I want to make sure that individuals know how to purchase your book, but then also too in regards to your product. So how can individuals best find you and your products?
Yeah, so the book they can get on Amazon. It's called The Modern Viking Diet by Dr. Laura Capina, and my supplement is Synergy, is on the website synergy.com, SYNERCHII. So when they go on the Synergy website, they can read all about the supplement, about me. They can email me. You can get in touch with me through the website.
Beautiful. Well, I want to thank you so much for joining me today. And wow, you are a powerhouse. I love your energy. I love your passion. And clearly, you have found your purpose. And, anytime that somebody can come on and share such great knowledge and really break the cycle of this health crisis, that is what it's all about. So, thank you for joining me on Define the Fight today.
Yeah, thank you for having me, and please, don't give up. Let's be strong as the Vikings, remember who you are, remember how God made you. There is this one foundation, and it's not scary. No matter what label they put you on, your body can heal. Your body can heal as when you put these foundational things, nutrients in your body, you take out the trash, you move your body, and you just live in gratitude, which is the most important thing. Just live in gratitude.
100%. So instead of taking in the trash, let's take out the trash. And that's what it's all about. So until we meet next week, get out there, define the fight. So until you define the fight, how do you expect to win the fight? Have a great day.